Hey YouTube, Todd here again. First off, thanks for watching another video today. This time we're going to be talking specifically about replacing this guy. This is the, I think Ford called it the transmission range selector switch. You'll probably find it listed as the neutral safety switch now. But on the 98 Ford Contour GL with the V6, and the 4-speed automatic transaxle, or the CD4E. That's the specifics. It's also going to apply to all Contours, all Mercury Mystiques, the Mercury Cougars, the Ford Mondeos, and a whole plethora of other vehicles. And just for our reference, and I'll put this up in the well, I've already closed it out. I'll put the wiki link in the description. But this is a widely used transmission. We'll take a look at it. Finally, had to search around and find a good picture of it removed. This was a used one I found, and I use it first of all not only show you what it looks like. I think this was out of like a Mazda Tribute, I believe it was. Um, but here it is. Here's the switch. All right, this is probably, other than assembly, uh, this is like the easiest you're ever going to see the switch. Right there. You see the two mounting bolts. You see the little hole, the little connector. Here's the breather for the transmission. It's got the torque converter and all that. It's nice and clean and all that kind of stuff. Uh, if it were this easy to get to, it would be super great. And then of course back to my picture. I didn't take the only I took pictures after I got them out. Beside the new part before I installed it. You see how grimy it is. It's down low. It's buried. Really, after you get all the hoses for the water pump connected and all the wiring pulled and connections, yeah, this thing is really buried. And when I'm doing the P0401 fix, I thought about it and actually saw it, and I was going to go back and look for any engine codes through Google Photos, because I take pictures of them when I pull them. But I've evidently deleted those. But I kept this picture, so I'm like, well, hey, I'll do a little video on it. There are just a 2 or 3 videos maybe on this I've seen on YouTube, but there's nothing on diagnosis. It's just installation. So I thought I would do something on the problems that it presents, and kind of go from there. Lost my track of mind on how widely this transmission was used. It was used on other Ford models, Mercury models, and Mazda models. And this switch, I understand from my research, is actually used across different brands. So this guy will be pretty easy to find. You should be able to walk into most auto parts stores and walk out with one. I did. Of course, that was 3.5 years ago. So let's back up 3.5 years ago. This is the first problem I experienced with the car. Bought the car. It had 66,000 miles on it. I was the third owner. The two previous owners, very literally, were little old ladies. One bought it new, and they drove it to church and the grocery store. The one I bought it from her friend, right? And they bought it at a local dealer, and the car was a local car, in a sedan, with kind of European and Japanese styling cues. Great little engine in the V6. Heralded suspension, even though it was on the little 14-inch Steelies with the bolt-on wheel covers. And I like the sedan. I owned the 325. I think it was 93 325 with a 5-speed before. And the BMW is actually a smaller car than the Contour, but I like that. I like the nimbleness and agility of the BMW, and of course the driving dynamics. And the Contour is not a BMW, but you can definitely feel the European flavor. It definitely has a really nice suspension under it. So I get the car. I'm happy with it. Drive it for a month or two. Everything's fine. It shifts fine. It pulls fine. It does have a check engine light, but it's not related to this. And until today, I didn't even realize that this switch, the neutral safety switch, would even show up as a check engine light code. Uh, but those were O2 sensors, and that's another video chasing down that fault. But the car did great, and then the other shoe hits the floor, and the problems present. So what would it do? Randomly, violently, and totally without any expectation or any cause and effect I could find, it would just drive down the road, cruising at 30, 40, 50 miles an hour. The car would try to downshift abruptly into second or even first gear. And of course, it makes this shake. Kind of you hear the whole car, the metal and the plastic, and all. It's like you've hit something almost. As it goes into that gear or tries to, and then it would search for the proper gear, for a higher gear, and kind of go up and down. So the car is kind of lurching, back and forth as it's looking for its gear, and it's kind of like the something called for the downshift, and then the PCM tries to do that, and then it's like, well, wait a minute, that doesn't match with all my other sensors, so let's try to find what gear we actually should be in. So the first time it did it, of course, it's very alarming. I knocked it into neutral and closed the throttle and waited a few seconds, right? Because it feels like it's going to tear itself up, right? I mean, you that was my first thought. If I don't do something, transmissions, I'm going to see it in the rear. I'm going to run over it and then see it in the rearview mirror. So slip it in neutral, close the throttle, wait a few seconds, slip it back in drive, and sometimes it would be fine. Sometimes it would, go along, and it's like the car is looking at you like, what? Other times it would go right back into doing that. So it does it, just a few times, and like after the first time, I go home, get on the internet, look up the Cougar, the CEG forums, Cougar enthusiast group, start searching around, and that's when it doesn't take long to feel the general consensus for the CD4E. All the the just about everybody there is talking about what a trash transmission this was. Shame on Ford for ever producing it. That it maybe not overheats, but it generates too much heat. The oil cooler is undersized. It cooks the fluid, and that causes premature failure. That your only chance, if you have and if you have an automatic, you have this CD4E in the Contour. That your only chance is to flush the transmission with at least three drains and fills. Install a larger aftermarket oil cooler. And really, really, really just baby this transmission. And probably keep your eye, on the one ads or something, and maybe even just pick up a spare. Um, just very, very negative reviews of this transmission. So I did, before taking it to a shop, I did the flush. I went and bought, and of course you drain this out. And the thing with the service interval, let me just say that before I say what I did. And you can't see the drain plug on this guy because it's underneath here. It's sitting on the tailgate. And I'm not saying there's not problems with these transmissions and problems due to fluid, basically. But if you look in the owner's manual for my car, Ford's change interval is there is no change interval, right? So this is considered a lifetime fill under normal driving conditions. Now, if you keep flipping and get to the severe schedule, they recommend changing it at 30,000 miles. And what gets me about their change interval is it's actually easier to change the fluid in this transmission than it is to change your engine oil because there's no, or the filter's internal. There is a filter, but there's no filter to change. It's just a drain plug, and it's uh, in the proximity, I guess, of the oil drain plug. It's right on the bottom. You drain it out. They could have made the filler tube. You fill it back through the dipstick, uh, which I don't actually. I don't think that's it. It would come down in this area. I guess it's on the away side of this transmission now. Um, you fill it. That's the only pain. If they would have made that filler tube a half-inch longer, it would have been much easier. But it does take a long transmission funnel. So you drain it. It holds about 10 quarts. You drain out four, and then start it. Go through the gears, let it warm up for a little bit, and then you pour four more in. Oh, I'm sorry. You drain it, refill it with four, go through the gears, right, let it warm up a little bit, and then you drain it again and kind of wash, rinse, repeat at least three times. And then you should have totally replaced everything. I actually did it five. So by the time my last drain, it looked really as good as the fluid I was pouring in. And I used the Mobile One, so that stuff's, I don't know, at least $10 a quart, even at a discount place. So it's $40 a change times five changes. So yeah, I'm into this transmission already for a couple $100, hoping that fixes it. And of course, it doesn't because if I find out, I soon found out there's nothing wrong with the transmission. So I hobble around with it for I don't know a couple more weeks, and finally I'm coming home from out of town from Greenville one night, and I really don't know if I'm going to make it home. It is that bad. I mean, 30 miles an hour, coasting a lot of the way. You put it in drive and it starts bucking, and I'm like, I've got to do something. This is well beyond my abilities. So I take it to a local trusted transmission shop, and they check it and they call back in about a day or so. And the good news is there's nothing wrong with the transmission. They say it's shifting fine, everything checks out. They see the problem; it does present for them oddly enough, but they don't know what's causing it. So they refer me to one shop. He refers me to another shop. And after three shops, I still don't know what's causing this. So frustrated, kind of dejected, at least I know I don't have to put a transmission in. The transmission's good. I start digging through the forums again, the CEG forums, and I find a couple of posts that do describe my symptoms, and it turns out to be this guy. And according to the information then, is that it wouldn't um, create a check engine light because it's not part of that loop. There's not really a sensor for it. However, I have since learned that I guess if it gets bad enough, it will, and there is actually a code for the transmission range sensor or selector or whatever Ford's name is for it. Anyway, to give you an idea of what you're looking at, I actually saw it when I'm doing the P0401 fix because I had to get to this point and I start looking around, like where is my old buddy, and I see it, and I didn't even really think to take a picture of it, but you'll have to remove the I did the air box, the battery, and then according to this thread that I borrowed um, this picture from, you'll also have to um, remove the battery tray, which the guy does a really nice write up, really detailed. Um, I've never tried to take the tray out, never really had a reason to, But to get the tray out, part of the mounting bolts are under the power distribution box, which you can't see in this picture, but it's like right alongside the battery near the air box. So it's just a rectangular box, and the mounting bolts are under it. So it read to be a bit of a bear to get the the battery tray out. The airbox and the battery and all that are not bad, but to get that looked like about an hour just to get the battery tray out. But it gives it does look like it gives a little better access. So I don't know if I would take it out. I didn't before, so I know it's possible. But I mean, you see how tight and cramped all this stuff is. So, like, here's the real world. Let me get back uh, to the train, and here's like utopia. Like, oh, okay, it's just these two bolts, right? Well, it is, but they're covered up by the rest of the engine, right, and everything else. These go to the water pump, and this I don't know why this coupler's here, and you've got wiring everywhere. This is going into the transmission. I don't know what that is. I think it even wanted you to remove maybe the ground the ground or something. Anyway, it was quite involved to get to it, and then when you do get to it, guess what? One of the bolts is right here, okay, right under all this stuff, and the other one I believe is right there. So yeah, I saw mine, and it's fortunately they're not overly tight. You break them loose, and then it's quarter turns, eighth turns, with your fingers, and you're bent over in the car, and it seemed like it took about 30 minutes just to get the bolts out. Then you put the new switch in, and then another 30 minutes to get the bolts back in until you can snug them. Connect the connector here. I don't know. That's like the worst possible place. I don't know where else they could have put it, but I don't think they could have found the worst place to do it. So back to and kind of back to this picture. So I did that, and for about a year, maybe a year and a half, that fixed it, right? And the car never showed, like I said, a check engine light um, for this transmission range selector switch, neutral safety switch, whatever you want to call it. There was never a code for that. Um, and for about a year and a half, it did fine. Then, just as the car, and this was a pattern, I could definitely say there was a pattern. As the car was warming, so say you've driven it 3 to 5 miles, right? It hadn't got up to full operating temperature yet. Um, it would do it once. It would try to downshift when it didn't need to, just at steady throttle or whatever. And the slipping into neutral and off the throttle fix for a couple of seconds, and then slipping back into drive would fix it. It wouldn't do it anymore. And it did that for, I don't know, maybe a couple of months, or at least several weeks, 6 to 8 weeks or something. Every time it was warming up, and then it went away. Okay, and it hasn't done it really since then. It did it one time 2 weeks or so ago. Was delivering Amazon Flex. Was in a hurry. Backed out of a driveway. Didn't wait until I came to an absolute complete stop to try to shift, and actually got into drive a little early. It was still had some backwards motion, and the transmission did not like that, and it let me know really quick. So kind of took off, and then it. Uh, I think maybe we got in second and tried to shift back down to first or something, and put it in neutral and off the throttle, and then slipped it back down into drive, and it hasn't done it since. So, kind of wrap up, I guess, on this. If you're having those symptoms, this is probably the first place to look. if it's bad enough, I guess is my thoughts now that I'm seeing, this guy did have a problem um, with his vehicle, that it did go, but that was also, I think that was in '04 or '05. So maybe since the Contour, either they've included that in the OBD loop, or my problem simply wasn't bad enough. But it is fixable. The transmission is, it's probably not going to go down in Ford history or in automotive history as, the best, um, the best um, vehicle ever. No, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Or the best, transmission ever. But here's the guys. This was in 2012, and he did have a 98 Contour like mine with the V6, higher trim level, and he did get the code, the P0708 transmission range sensor circuit. And this is his write up. It's very detailed. I guess they put it in neutral. Um, he does have a picture. I guess that's after removing the battery tray. There's the picture I borrowed, stole, and then he has a picture of the new and old. So I'll provide a link to the Ford forums and this specific thread, the New Cougar forum, the CEG forum, and then I did check too. I wanted to show you guys this. Um, I did check around Rock Auto. They're kind of my standard now. They do have them. They have two, a WV and a standard motor products. You can probably, good luck finding a Motorcraft, if Motorcraft actually ever manufactured these. About $10. So I was curious, and I checked. If I can get these pages to load. Checked Advance Auto. I think this is where I got mine, and I'm not familiar with this Intermotor brand. I don't have any idea. It does have 5 stars, a lifetime replacement warranty, and this is not a fix you really want to have to do twice. So I checked AutoZone also, um, and they had one for the same price. Duralast, I'm familiar with that brand, and kind of hit or miss with their stuff. Only one review, again, a limited lifetime warranty. My guess is these are probably made in China. So probably all of them are made in China. So that limited lifetime warranty, keep your receipt, yeah, because you're probably going to need it. But that's really all I have. I'll provide those links, and if you guys have questions, you've had something similar, love to hear. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And that's all I have. I'll be back with another video soon. Thanks, guys.